Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Darksiders 2.
A visitor? I'm afraid my home is quite a mess.
Speak plainly if you value your life, such as it is.
Oh, how rude of me. I am a smith, a visionary architect, sculptor, creator of the masterpiece that resides in this realm. And you must be an agent of the Makers. They trapped me here for thousands of years. Now they think my death will ease. They are not forgiven.
The Abyssal Forge DLC begins in earnest with a fight against the Mad Smith, who created the entire forge himself. We didn't get much of the setup here because, again, we were dumped into the swamp in the DLC unceremoniously. But we will get some exposition from him, and we got some leading into the fight. In the meantime, while we're dealing with him, probably one of the easiest ways to fight him is to kind of play this footsies game with him. Spacing out that charge 2-hit strike. Just as I say that, he catches me with a second hit because I was in a corner. And I dodge it a little late. The glaive makes him especially easy to fight. Whew, that was nice. Because you can space out his attacks from really far away and then close the gap with that charged hit. And then as we get him down to half, he's got a huge health pool for a Darksiders boss. And his moveset, you'll notice, is a little bit like Thane's. In fact, it's mostly pretty similar. And I think now-ish is probably a good time to pop this Reaper form we're holding on to. Just to minimize the amount of risk. And to get this over with a little bit quicker. You notice, even in Reaper form, his health is not dropping extraordinarily quickly. Might take a hit or two after, yeah. Yeah, the teleport slash that we got right near the beginning of the game. And this charged glaive as he's winding up these big telegraphed hits, like your best friends in this fight.
Wait, please. You must wait.
You attacked me, Smith. The madness has blinded you.
Mad, am I? You... Now, let us not be ruled by our baser instincts. We can help each other.
Answer my questions and I will stay my hand. I won't ask again. Where are we?
This is the Shadowlands. A void between a tree of life and the tree of death. It's a rather pleasant place for a visit, is it not? Or an eon of imprisonment, as it were?
If you're such a genius, why haven't you escaped?
Transportation is no obstacle for a smith such as myself. But the Makers have sealed the portal. Or so I had thought.
The power of corruption has broken the lock of your prison.
But how? I don't... Oh, gods, what will it do? Wait! Don't leave! You have to help me.
Why?
My masterpiece! It threatens countless worlds! The Abyssal Forge is a sentient being of living stone, and it is crafted an implacable army. If the portal seal is unlocked, creations of the Abyssal Forge will invade other realms.
How is this any of my concern?
You don't understand. I crafted the Abyssal Forge to harness the power of the Abyss. It lives, it breathes, it creates constructs that can then build yet more Abyssal Forges. But, well, unlike myself, the Abyssal Forge is utterly insane. Its constructs will destroy everything in their path.
You should not have meddled with the powers of the Abyss. You must unmake this.
I have tried, yet I cannot.
Damn you. What must be done, then?
First, you must escape this island. The waters here are deadly to your living flesh. However, I can make a talisman to shield you. But first, you must bring me the right materials.
So what we are in right now is not the Abyssal Forge proper. That lies beyond this poisonous swamp. What is it called? The something mire. The disgusting mire. The Valley of Defilement. We entered from a little landmass in the swamp. How we got here is a mystery. Without crossing those poison waters. You would think this would probably be a Forgelands area just from the general architecture and palette. You know, it's got this more yellowish, sickly tone to it, but it's still recognizable as what would probably be a Forgelands dungeon if this were in the main game. Just more filled with, like, murky fog and rust and putrilage. But as is, we need to collect a bunch of chaos ore from this dungeon so the smith can forge an item for it. Wow, right off the bat, possessed sides. Nice. And health on crit from them. Ooh, that's gonna be good. Health and wrath on crit are gonna be invaluable for possessed weapons going forward. Need chaos ore to forge an item for us that will let us cross the poisonous swamp. Because had we ventured into the swamp instead of going forward to the Mad Smith when we started the DLC, we would have pretty much died almost instantly touching the water. And this time there are not 3 pieces of ore to collect, there are 7. They really let the rule of 3's criticism from the base game factor into this DLC, I suppose. Now this puzzle is not really a brainbuster, but it is neat in concept. It's a real pain in the ass in execution, though, because this happens quite frequently. You're using these ramps to roll the ball up onto the next floor, but they don't always want to cooperate. Also, our first piece of chaos ore is downstairs on the first floor of this puzzle room. I think this should save us a little bit of time. Then we want to send this teal one, up to the first floor we started on. And that will, that actually closes up a gate, so when we roll the ball up this next ramp, it can't just go straight across the room and fall back down. Whoops. Oh, motherfucker, why does it behave like this? This is so terrible. Like, it's not the worst inconvenience in the whole game, but Jesus, why is it designed like that? It's so goddamn annoying. Was that 4 attempts each time? Otherwise, I like the idea of this. Just because there's no other puzzle like this in the game. We get a better version of that. That ball rolling puzzle at a different point in the dungeon, though. This is the... I want to say this is the first non-linear dungeon where we can go to any wing and collect the chaos ore in any order. Primarily because there's so much of it and there's no dungeon item. The DLC just starts you with certain things like the gun, the death grip, and the soul splitter. But yeah, we have the freedom to go to any spot in the dungeon to collect the ore, in whatever order we please. Which makes navigating the dungeon not really too difficult. In fact, I could not tell you where the dungeon map is, despite the fact that I've only done one dry run of this before. Like, I didn't play this when it came out. So this content is, and was, fairly fresh for me. And this will lead us to yet another smaller dungeon down the line. Actually, it's about, I would say about the same length as this. The whole DLC is like an hour long or so. Which, if you had bought this when it came out for $10, may have felt kind of shitty. It's much worse because there's another DLC down the line that's like 30 to 40 minutes long, which for 10 bucks kind of stung a little bit. It's always hard to assign like a dollar value to hour ratio, but I don't know, something doesn't quite sit right with a 30 to 40 minute DLC on top of a $60 game when the DLC is like 10, 15 bucks. Also, the Chaos Ore mysteriously floats over to you when you destroy it with a bomb and a gunshot to that bomb from distance. Now we'll make a left over here, and this brings us back out to the main room with the Mad Smith in it. Except we're on the other side of a poisonous pit. This is the same kind of viscous, nasty swamp fluid that would just tear you up if you jumped in it outside. It'll do the same here. Which is the one aspect of the dungeon that prevents you from going completely wild and breaking everything out of sequence. There still is a certain sequencing to it. But, for instance, I want to make sure that I'm going to a spot we have not been yet. But for instance, we could have saved the 2 pieces of Chaos Ore that we just got. We could have saved that for last if we wanted to. There are a lot of different routes through this dungeon. And overall, I think the quality of the dungeon is really, really decent. Even like the look and the atmosphere of the dungeon, I think it's really nicely realized. You know, I say it's nothing but rust and putrilage before, but it's realized in this soft way that's still pretty easy on the eyes. Also, I'm not sure if we face off against any completely new enemies. Like, we face off against a lot of enemies that are, I don't want to say reskins, but they're pretty much just enemies that we fought before with a little, with like doodads added onto them. Same attack animations, but like fire enchanted, or they explode or something. And the fire status ailment in this dungeon sucks. It's so brutal. It's worse than being poisoned. Especially because it happens so often. Like, every attack these guys inflict fire on you, inflict burning. But I do think they look cool as hell. Like, this is my favorite form of this enemy. Forge Hunter. And now that we got our one-on-one fight, where we got to just learn the enemy's patterns and what it can do to us, it wants us to fight it 2-on-1, or fight them 2-on-1. I think we will be getting Reaper form back pretty soon though, so that'll make this just a little bit easier. Ah, that didn't reach. It's a pretty nice crit. Could use all the crits I can get, especially for the health on crit on this glaive. Hey, there it is. And since we're coming into this after, what was it, level 14 or 15, we get the extended duration of the Reaper form, which is really nice. And we have some points of that harvest ability that causes it to refill the Reaper energy. And where was the thing I just saw pop out of the wall? The thing that will allow us to climb up. Ah, there we go. Missed it on the first spin. This will give us, what, 3 out of 7? Yep, the other 4 or so are pretty densely compacted together. This isn't the dungeon map, right? Nah, this is off in a weird path. This is just gonna be some scaled loot. Health potion's not bad. Not too much else to say about that chest. It sucks when you get a nice, big, ornate chest like that. And there's nothing particularly special in there. always feels like you're getting ripped off. We have another one in the swamp here and a bomb plant up here, so we're going to do the same thing that we did before, which is just casually toss the bomb plant down and shoot it. Not really a whole puzzle to it, which does give you the impression that it's just set there as filler. It doesn't immediately follow a combat room, because we already got one that followed the combat room. It's just kind of sitting there. Doesn't follow a puzzle. What did I just hear come out of the floor? Or was that a gate on this door coming up? Hey, these new fiery scarabs, all they really do is explode. They're the same standard nuisance enemy type, but these ones just have a big explosion radius on death. Right here we have another soul splitter puzzle. Pretty obvious what to do. We're going to send one around to the right because there was a pressure plate, and then the other one is going underwater. That pressure plate lowers an underwater gate, which we need to get through. And why do I feel blind? Ah, that's why. The lip kind of obscured the stairs from where I was standing. No token under here. I believe it was that got lowered, right? Getting a little wavy here. Oh, no, that's wrong. That took longer than I would have wanted it to. Whoops. Not actually going towards that chest. That might be the dungeon map. Like, they might want you to come back for that in a minute or two, but what I'm actually going for is just right here, before that gate. Gotta do a little bit of wall jumping. I think I jumped too early a second there. Then we can open this up from the other side. First, I'm gonna grab this chest, though. Critical damage up. That's about all I can hope for off of a armor piece at this point. I don't even really care about the defensive stats. Really just looking for a few different things. Either strength, arcane, arcane critical, or regular critical. Either chance or damage up. I get really disappointed whenever I see a really nice chest piece or something, and it's got guilt up. Guilt being the currency of the game. Such a wasted stat for me. Darksiders 2 does not really give you much of a money sink. They give you the loot boxes from Vulgrim, but more often than not, you're bottlenecked not by the amount of guilt that you have, but by the amount of tokens that you have, especially if you're going for the possessed loot boxes. They're like 20 apiece. 20 tokens and like 50,000 guilt. The only other gold sink that they really have is buying moves, and those don't really cost that much. You can really feasibly max out your moveset and still have way too much left over. And then after that, it's just like occasionally going back to restock potions before a dungeon, and they're like 1,000 each. Yeah, you don't have terribly much to do with all of this gold. Oops. Don't fuck with me while I'm trying to look around the dungeon. Coming up, we have another... This one's much more of a reskin, or rather like a reparticle. This is just another Forgelands enemy, the floating head sentinels, except they have orange particle effects. Instead, what were they in, was it the Lost Temple we first saw these in? I think they were yellow. Oh, I think the enemies actually blocked that fireball for me. These ones have a shitload of hyper armor. You cannot even knock them around with Harvest if they're winding a hit up. We accidentally got our 5th piece of Chaos Ore. I think this music is even from the Forge Lands. It's weird with all the theming that they give this to you after City of the Dead and make this a Soul Splitter dungeon. Like all the constructs in here. The fact that this has to do with the storyline of the Makers. The, again, the architecture of the dungeon. There's a lot of weird stuff. Like, I still like the dungeon, it's just very odd how this fits into the overall scheme of the game. Now, we still don't have a key for that door, so instead we're going to come down here. And we have one more piece of Chaos Ore here, and I think the last one is through the locked gate. And we gotta do a lot of rolling. This is a really cool little puzzle, involving multiple ramps and Soul Splitter. So I think the first one we want to lay it on that switch, and then we're dividing this up into sections. For the first section, we're going to send Teal Death over here to weigh down the lever. And then the statue weighs down the pressure plate, which raises both gates, so we can just push this up the first ramp. Now it's on the middle section. I think... Is this the one where we want to take Soul Splitter over to the very end? Or do we want to... Or do we need the statue in the middle? Okay, I don't think there's a pressure plate down here, so yeah, I think we're rolling out. Or hold on. No, because the statue doesn't do me any good there. Yeah, I think I'm taking this to the end. And there should be another pressure plate past this huge gap that we're going to wall run over. Oh, but not before we get some of the sentinels. The Forge Guards. That said something else. A couple more exploding beetles. These devices exist solely to loose exploding beetles on you. I love you, the Mad Smith. You do have to watch their explosion radius. It's quite large. Oh, these guys don't juggle that easy. They have, like, funky hitboxes. Okay, so this is where we want to get the ball. And this is where we're going to Soul Splitter. We're going to have to send the Purple Death back the way we came. And then once he weighs the lever down, we can just send Teal Death down the ramp. So we can push the ball up, then we'll be good. And unlike before, no worrying about the ball not going the correct direction or coming back down at you. That should lead us to one more piece of Chaos Ore. Plus the key. Oh, these motherfuckers. You see stingers very few times throughout the game. One of which is in... the Cauldron, I think? There's the other time on Earth, and then here. And that's really it. They don't pester you too much with them. So we're 6 out of 7. We will meet... Oh no, these aren't new either. They are still really cool designs, though. Oh, not quite yet. There's a big variant of this enemy coming up. Which oh, he sniped me out of mid-air! There's a variant of these coming up that I do like. Didn't quite catch. Whew. Feels good. Man, I love this glaive. So happy I got Possessed 1. Still looking for naming suggestions for the glaive. Gotten some really good ones from a few people. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get enough possessed weapons throughout this playthrough to use all of those, which sucks. Hey, there's a big one. The thing I like about them is just because of their size, you can appreciate more of the details in the design. Also, this attack is kind of fun. The other versions of the Guardians, or the constructs in this dungeon that I really like, are the ones in that room from earlier. The one that was just teeming with them, that we kind of cleaned up with Harvest. Those things with kind of the Bastion faces, they're really neat. Ooh, that's a good talisman. That's a real good talisman. And this will give us our key. So we can go back out into that large hallway. And get our last piece of Chaos Ore. Wait, is this right? Because Dust was pointing me over there. Why does Dust want me to go that way? I don't think that's right. No, it's totally not, because this is where we came up from the water. Oh, this is the big room. What the fuck, Dust? Why did Dust want me to take the long way around? Made me second guess myself, too. Because I don't normally trust my own sense of direction, but that time I had the initial right impression. Now we will get this final piece of Chaos Ore after using the key to unlock the door, and we can go right back to the Mad Smith so he can forge us an item that will help us walk across the deadly swamp. I'm just gonna pull this real quick. What the fuck? Oh no! Okay. There was a lot of bad stuff that could have happened, aside from just making me waste a health potion falling in the swamp.
Ah, good, yes. Oh, behold, Rider! This talisman is beyond the skill of most makers. Almost too fine for one such as you.
Enough. Tell me how to destroy the Abyssal Forge.
Destroy the Hearthstone, of course.
Consider it done.
Alrighty. So that's gonna do it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.